If you'd asked me before last year, I would have said I had a pretty great life. I was a freight rail worker out of Alexandria, pulling brutal overnight runs through Virginia and West Virginia. The money was good enough that my wife could stay home with our 9-year-old son, Eli, and fill in where I couldn't. I knew I was missing a lot, but I honestly thought we were fine. We'd been married for 12 years, and we had so many magnets from our family trips that we had to upgrade to a bigger fridge. Every summer, we went camping near Shenandoah because Eli loved it. Then, one Tuesday in January, my train got canceled outside Charlottesville, and I headed home way earlier than expected, only to find a pickup truck in my driveway that I didn't recognize. The divorce was finalized in March. By May, I'd settled into a 2-bedroom apartment downtown that already had a set of bunk beds bolted in, which meant Eli would have something ready for him when he came over on the weekends. I was doing everything I could to make the transition easier on him, but most of it felt useless. So when Father's Day weekend rolled around, I packed up the truck, picked him up from school, and told him we were getting out of the city for a few days. Eli stayed quiet for most of the drive, but once the tent was up and the fire was going, he finally loosened up. We spent the night roasting marshmallows while he grilled me about animals and argued with me over the stars. I remember sitting there thinking, this is exactly what we needed. I should have trusted my gut when it told me something bad was about to happen. That first night, Eli was out cold after the hike and all the sugar. I stayed up by the fire a while longer, watching it burn down. It was way past midnight and dead quiet, as if even the bugs had fallen asleep. Then, I heard it. A slow, heavy dragging sound coming from the trees a few yards away, like something large was being hauled across the dirt. I grabbed my flashlight and aimed it towards the woods, but I couldn't see anything. I tried to tell myself it was just an animal dragging a kill. I'd spent enough time outdoors to know how the woods worked. Still, I could feel eyes on me. I white-knuckled my hatchet and waited, my heart hammering in my chest. But after 10 minutes of nothing, I figured I was just being paranoid. I let out a shaky breath and turned to crawl into the tent when a gust of wind hit my back, followed by a raspy whisper. "Happy Father's Day." The voice was low and came from somewhere beyond the reach of my flashlight. My blood turned to ice, and I sat there frozen for what felt like forever, waiting. But the woods went silent again. Not a single leaf moved. I tried convincing myself I was hearing things. Maybe it was another camper farther down the trail, or maybe the wind was playing tricks through the trees. Still, I kept the hatchet beside my sleeping bag for the rest of the night. The whisper came 2 more times before sunrise. It moved around us, like someone pacing in a slow circle around the tent. But I never heard a single footstep. By the time the sky started turning gray, I was a complete wreck. When Eli finally stirred awake, we took a quick lap around the campsite to make sure everything was okay. The front looked normal enough, but when we rounded to the back of the tent, my stomach dropped and Eli screamed. 3 dead animals dangled from the branches a few feet away. 2 were raccoons, but the third was so mangled I couldn't even tell what it had once been. They were strung up with wire and gutted clean. There was no way I'd missed them the night before. I'd literally hung our food bag in those same trees before turning in. I immediately told Eli to pack up. He could tell something was wrong, but he didn't argue. He helped me break down the tent and clean the campsite in near silence. By the time we made it back to the truck, someone had slashed every one of our tires. That feeling of being watched came crawling back. I shoved Eli behind the truck and pulled out my phone, but before I could dial 911, somebody tackled me from behind. The wind got knocked clean out of me, and I slammed hard into the dirt. The man was huge and covered in filth. His face was buried beneath a massive, matted beard. He looked like some wild animal wearing human skin, like he'd been living deep in the woods for years. Before I could react, he drove a hunting knife straight into my left forearm. A raw scream tore out of me, The pain was immediate and blinding. I grunted and tried to fight him off, but he didn't ease up. He yanked the knife free and raised it to stab me again. I grabbed a fistful of dirt and gravel and threw it directly into his eyes. He screamed and stumbled backward, clawing at his face. I scrambled to my feet, yanked the hatchet out of the gear bag, and swung it as hard as I could. I hit him again and again, until the final strike landed with a sickening thud, and he finally collapsed. Then I grabbed Eli and we ran. We reached the highway in maybe 20 minutes. A trucker eventually stopped and called 911, while Eli sat beside me, shaking so hard his teeth chattered. By the time the police arrived, the campsite was empty. They found the carcasses and the hunting knife, though. Later, they told me the man matched the description of a drifter wanted in 2 similar attacks on campers at other parks, both during holiday weekends. Both victims had been fathers traveling with their children. They never found his body. I got 8 stitches, and Eli shook for days afterward. He doesn't like camping anymore. Now he prefers places crowded with people because he understands something most kids never should.